Hey guys, what's up? Let's go over a skull drawing. I'm gonna show you real quick. We're gonna be doing a kind of a skull, kind of tattooed style drawing, but with kind of a pencil. This is a Prismacolor pencil, Cool Erase, uh, 20048. It's a black. I don't know about the number, but I have a kneaded eraser, and the only reason I have a brush is to kind of when I erase something, sometimes there's some erase marks. I just kind of use that to blow it off. But so seems kind of seems kind of anal, but whatever. But I'm gonna do just a regular skull for the most part. The style is kind of what I'm gonna kind of talk about, But we're gonna go over the regular skull stuff anyway. It's good to kind of have a refresher on that. And I'll move that over there. Have that centered. So I'm gonna be doing the top half, maybe like a broken. I want to make it look tattoo-y art, but also very graphic, because some tattoo art is very obviously shaded and things like that. This one I want it to be very graphic. And by graphic, I'll let you know what I'm talking about. Graphic meaning, graphic meaning well, there's a lot of line. You know what I mean? You can use it for like a logo. You can shrink it down and you can still tell exactly what it is. When something's shaded, it's a little bit more realistic. It's not really for the purposes of that. It becomes a little bit harder to kind of tell. Because you're not just trying to copy the image, but you're trying to make it look like a very stylized version of an image. So graphic would be something more like, like a poster, or anything graphic design. You know what I mean? Graphic meaning, you kind of squint and you can still tell exactly what it is. With the hard lines, things like that. A lot of hard lines. So let's just kind of get over this first part a little bit. Drawing in the eye sockets, and I think of those as kind of what do you call that? Bent squares, and the nose is essentially triangular. Nasal part, obviously there's not the rest of the nose there because it's a skull. Dimples in the side there. I use those dimples as kind of marks to kind of even out what's going on. There are marks above the teeth as well. And I'm going to put the top of the tooth cylinder. The side of the temple here, I'm thinking about that. I also think this needs a little bit more skull, so I'm going to draw a little bit more of a skull on it. That's probably the one single most common mistake I've seen out of anybody would be they just don't draw enough of the skull. You got to remember the brain is encased in the skull. This is called the Zygomatic Arch. It's essentially your cheekbone. Think of this in planes. Remember that. Because when I'm thinking, I'll let you know what's going on in my head. I think of this as, like, let's say a front plane. Almost like this whole thing fits in a box. There's the front, kind of the front of the face that you're going to see. And then it kind of slowly goes into the back. You know what I mean? I kind of think of that. And there's like an upper top plane as well. But that's the way I'm thinking about this. So that's when you organize things in space to kind of make things more realistic, and it kind of sits there better. That's kind of the way to do it. So let's kind of get into this. See, I have my general idea. I have a very light kind of just like a sketchy sketch of the top portion of a skull. Teeth aren't even really filtered out there. They're not really kind of. I didn't really place them that well. I just placed them as a landmark, as a mark really, to kind of get my idea. So what I usually like to do is I like to go in. I'm gonna go in real dark now, not super dark. Well, actually, I guess super dark, because this pencil doesn't go all that dark, all that black. And I'm going to be thinking graphically, like I said. So I'm imagining the light is coming from above to down below. When I do that, I know that something is going to catch. That there's going to be a dark and a light. And I try to make those a little bit more high contrast. Sorry, I kind of trailed off my own sentence there. I'm gonna kind of fill this in and try to make it as flat as I can with this pencil. I'm not gonna totally make it flat, but it's flat enough. I can work on it more to make it flatter by going putting the line in a different direction, filling that in. But for the most part, when you start putting stuff in, that's when you're really going to, again, kind of begin to adjust stuff. So with the shadow pattern, normally what I would do, well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find all the shadow pattern first. You got to think about this. If it's coming from above, then, like I said, the shadow pattern will catch. And I'm not gonna gradate anything. I'm gonna try not to gradate anything, not that much, By gradation I mean I don't want like a transitional value very much right now. I want to keep it very flat. Same thing right here with the back of the skull. I'm gonna have to continue that on there. And I'm making it flat, where normally I would put like a core shadow or a cast. I want like a core shadow. I'm trying to make it, like I said, flatter. As flat as I can, like I said. There's definitely like darker here than here. Same thing with the nose. Okay, so we have a pretty flat image right here in terms of this kind of values gradation. There's really not much gradation. A lot of this would be probably easier in marker, but I'm using the eraser to that, but I'm also using this kneaded eraser. Wham, wham, wham. The reason I use a brush is sometimes the oil from your hand, if you go like this, sometimes will come off on the paper and give it some kind of weird stuff going on. Anyways, yeah, see, like I just did that. Oh, man. So, now kind of getting to what I was talking about. I want to take the shadows and I want to create a kind of pattern out of it. So let's just say there's a slight shadow underneath that nasal cavity. I want to put that in there and put it lighter. Put a shape under this and make it lighter as well. Right over here. over here inside of the tooth. Try to keep in mind where the light's coming from. Always remember where the light's coming from. And just kind of like you're pasting, almost like you're pasting small, like pieces of paper to like a model or something. And this is just another way to go about it. This is just another like style per se. And these start to add up. They start to look like nothing in the beginning, but they really do start to add up. And try to go with the form when you do that. And you can do it as small as you want. There's no rules. And like I said, it will start adding up. Sure. Sure. The big one. Give it to me. No. No. So, I basically put them around here, kind of different areas. I want you to do me a favor, and you can kind of keep going, and you can do a ton with this. You know what I mean? Like a ton. You know, you can start putting little tiny marks everywhere. But the point, the kind of idea is that. Let me put like a. Let me give you an example. So this is a circle, right? A sphere, let's say. Let's say this is covered in shadow, right? Instead of doing a kind of like, can you see that? Hold on. Instead of creating, you know, it's a different look, which is the shadowy look. You know, with soft, rolling form. And that's, like I said, great in itself, and I do a lot of that on my channel. Instead of doing that, I'm creating a completely, imagine that it's completely hard. You know what I mean? And almost fragmenting it as it goes up. So you can even do like, you know what I mean? Larger pieces to smaller pieces as it goes up into the light. And you know, it makes it look more like kind of like maybe Mexican art, things like that. Indian art, Aztec art. You know, you kind of use that gradation. Almost like stippling, if you've ever seen that. If this doesn't make sense, please message me below, because this is kind of something I'm new to explaining, so I'm not really sure how to explain it better. But it's a stylization. Like, for example, I'm using this line right here, this hard thing, but I could have made that one entire long strand, or I could have made it, you know, several broken up strands. Really try it out. And that's kind of where the creativity comes in it. You know, you're learning a rule, but then you're kind of making it your own and customizing it, you know? Anyways, that's kind of the idea. Try it out. I just kind of like did mine a little bit there, you know, for the most part, but you can continue a lot, like infinitely almost. You know what I mean? You can just fool around, and I really think you'll like this. If you guys just like doodling stuff like that, even as people do as a hobby, I think you'll really enjoy this style. So if you have any questions, let me know. Post anything on the Facebook page. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later.